Hey guys, Marsingin here, bringing a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. And so one of the big things that we found out from the producer letter that came out early Sunday morning for me, late Saturday evening if you're in parts of the US, there was a whole bunch of info in there. Obviously the big thing that everyone was waiting for was the hint or reveal, I guess, because they didn't show the details, but they showed the character. The reveal of the Part 2 LR, which is of course the reversible exchange Kale and Caulifla. This video won't be about them, but very big news. Let me know what you think of them in the comments. But the big thing that we went over was the schedule, some changes for things like loads of new tickets, new summon point system, a whole bunch of things. But the really big thing to take away, because it kind of plays into everything else that is going on now. Like, even when people have been asking me, you know, after we got the details for Kale and Caulifla, should I summon for Kale and Caulifla? One of the big things that we always talk about when it comes to summoning isn't just the quality of the unit itself, but it's also thinking about everything else that's going on in the game around it, and like what the release schedule is looking like, what things are potentially going to be coming up soon that you might want to use your stones on instead. Now, there's a whole lot of things to consider as we move forward in Dokkan for anything, whether it's to summon on the current banner, saving stones, what your next goal in mind is that you're saving things for. And this schedule change, I think, brings a whole new perspective, because things are going to be very, very different going forwards. And I have some theories, as you can obviously tell from the title. Now, some of this is going to be speculation. There's no real way to know right now exactly what they will do, because they have certainly a few different options depending on how they want to play it. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's start with what we do know and what was shown about the upcoming schedule. So they show on the left hand side how things have gone in the past years, which was obviously January to February was the anniversary on JP. In March we had Saiyan Day, May we have Golden Week, and then in July JP had the Tanabata celebration, which would, you know, in the past couple of years has been a Dokkan Fest exclusive LR, and then a part 2, originally Yellow Coin, and then Carnival LR, while Global had its anniversary and then got the same celebration that JP had gotten in January to February. Obviously, if you're not a new player, you know this. That's how it's been for the last like 9 years, right up until the 10th anniversary. And then in September we get the worldwide celebration, which is another big celebration. The other celebration of the year, really the only other one that is comparable to the anniversary, in that it would usually follow the same format, which would be 2 LRs in part 1, 2 LRs in part 2. Obviously they've toyed with changing that format back and forth a little bit over the last couple of years as to which way round they do it, but we recently have settled on the 1 Dokkan Fest exclusive LR and 1 Carnival LR in part 1, and then 1 of each in part 2, right? So that's the way the schedule has been for the last few years. And the big thing that they reveal with this schedule, first thing we knew, of course, straight away, right, that the anniversary is now just on both versions at the same time in January to February. Saiyan Day, both versions at the same time, March to April. We've already had that this year. And then, of course, we are currently in the Golden Week campaign, which is May to June. Now, the biggest thing here you can see, July to August, there will no longer be the Tanabata celebration in July on JP, and obviously Global has already had the anniversary. So that time slot is going to be replaced by a new campaign. As you can see here, it's called the Global Dokkan campaign. Now, as of now, like, very little information is known about this celebration. I'm assuming it will follow the same sort of guidelines or like same format as an anniversary, because really the only information that we were given is that this celebration will be an anniversary level celebration. Now, that is kind of crazy to think about, a new celebration being added in to the schedule that we already have that is then going to be anniversary level. And then we're going to go over a lot of the details for that here with some of the banners and everything. But that is a huge addition to the schedule. And as you can see, the worldwide celebration campaign, where it says September to October time slot, that has been left as coming soon. But one of the things that was said in the producer letter is that the celebration that was the Tanabata celebration is going to be moved to September. So there's a couple of different things that they could do, but the big thing that has got me thinking is how are they going to structure these different events? Because if the Tanabata campaign is moving to September, that's the time slot where the worldwide celebration would normally be. So how are they going to move these things around? And then of course with the global Dokkan campaign being at the level of an anniversary, what does that mean for like the overall landscape of the game in terms of how many units that we're going to be getting? And that's the thing that I wanted to go over here, and why the title of the video and why my sort of speculation point for this is, are they going to get rid of the worldwide celebration entirely? Now, the reason why I think this is obviously the global Dokkan campaign, if it's going to be anniversary level and it's happening in July to August, it's essentially going to be a similar format to the worldwide celebration, which is already a similar format to the anniversary, right? As we said, with the current trend, you know, a Dokkan Fest LR and a Carnival LR in part 1, Dokkan Fest LR and a Carnival LR in part 2. Because if we go ahead and take a look at the banners, right? So I've got the banners up here. Obviously the 10th anniversary was a little bit different because we got 2 Carnival LRs on the part 2 banner. But obviously we had a part 1 Dokkan Fest exclusive LR banner, which was the Tech, Goku and Vegeta exchange that fused into Vegito. Then obviously we got the Legendary Summon Carnival for part 2, which had Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta. And then part 2 was the AGL Goku and Vegeta that fused into Gogeta, and the Carnival was for Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Frieza. So if we think about how this year is playing out, right, this was the first part of the year. So this was what we got in January to February. Then we moved down into March to April Saiyan Day. We got Kid Goku. Now we're in Golden Week. Then we moved down to the Global Dokkan campaign. And if this is going to be an anniversary level celebration, that means we are looking at this kind of setup, right? So this is what the worldwide celebration was last year. So we got another double banner, part 1, Dokkan Fest exclusive, the physical trio. And then LR Carnival Broly was the Carnival banner. Then part 2 was in LR Broly, and then the STR Family Kamehameha Gohan. So that means a celebration of that kind of level with 4 new LRs is going to be put in here in July. Which obviously, bear in mind, we are, you know, getting to the end of May is going to be basically when Golden Week runs. That's like, it's like basically a whole month celebration, right? And then the next Dokkan Fest should come out, usually comes out on like the 30th of May, like the last day of the month. So then we have June, where that celebration goes on. That end of May, Dokkan Fest usually has a part 2 LR. And so then we'll be going into this celebration again, right? And then, once this runs, so this is July to August, we know that these kind of anniversary level celebrations worldwide, be whatever it is, last for like the entire month, if not slightly longer. So this is going to take up like all of July and August potentially. And then we'll be going into straight after straight after August, we go into September, and that's when they've already mentioned that the Tanabata celebration is going to be, which on JP, because obviously it's always been a bit weirder on Global because it came out later, but on JP that is a Dokkan Fest exclusive LR banner for part 1, which was the Tech UI Goku, and then a Carnival banner in part 2, which was the AGL LR Jiren. So if you can kind of see where I'm going with this, the amount of LRs that they're going to be pumping out, especially double, like part 1 and 2 both having 2 banners each, that means we're going from the beginning of the year anniversary level celebration, then halfway through the year another anniversary level celebration. If September is Tanabata, where is the worldwide celebration going to fit into here? Because you could say, like, you know, it's not like it can fit, like, if this is July to August, and then, you know, maybe the worldwide started at the end of August and went to, like, the middle of September, and then it was the Tanabata, or if it was going to be pushed until after the Tanabata, if the Tanabata is now going to be in September, and the worldwide gets pushed to, like, October sometime, bear in mind that then that's another celebration that's going to be on the level of like having these banners in like part 1 and 2, right? So when you look at the overall, like if we go from July only, we're going to have July to August, 4 new LRs, then September, the Tanabata banner, 2 new LRs, and then the worldwide, potentially right after this or somewhere in the middle, another 4 LRs. So it's just way too much all in this like very small window at the end of the year. Now, on the one hand, obviously some people could say, oh, well, no, they don't care. They just want to make money. Like they're just going to keep pushing out banners back to back to back. But whilst obviously that is a strategy that they could do, like I feel like loads of people are going to be very annoyed if they do that. People aren't physically going to be able to summon on every banner, and people are going to get annoyed. People, you know, will get burnt out. People will potentially even stop playing the game. Like there's only so long for some people, like every person is different with how you approach playing gacha games, but if they keep like spamming out banners and you have to miss like multiple good units all in a row because you can't summon for them, like that kind of thing makes some people quit playing games like this, right? And then the thing you have to think about is if the global Dokkan campaign is on the level of this like anniversary type setup where there's 4 new LRs, that's an extra 4 new characters that they have to make if they're going to have the global campaign and the worldwide celebration. Because this last part of the year, if this was where worldwide is and then Tanabata, that's 6 characters. If we've got another anniversary level celebration, that's 10 characters that they have to create and produce and animate and all of that kind of stuff. So I think what we are most likely to see, to draw this up around to its natural conclusion, I think that essentially whatever would have been, like if we hadn't synced and everything was kind of the way it was before, what would have been the worldwide celebration. So let's say this had happened last year, right? We're talking about these banners. What would have been the worldwide celebration? This is going to be what the global Dokkan campaign will be. So if this had happened last year, anniversary in January, and then, you know, with Beast and Gogeta and Broly, and then in July, the new global Dokkan campaign would have been these 2 banners in part 1, these 2 banners in part 2, and then obviously the Tanabata would come out in September, and it would have been UI Goku and AGL Jiren. That's the only way realistically I can see this working without, like I said, them shoehorning in another celebration with another new 4 LRs. And that's one of those things where I guess if they were really desperate, they could, but we know that Dokkan just keeps making money hand over fist. They've announced a whole bunch of stuff that they're doing now where they're giving out a load of free summon tickets. I have seen some people say, because we talked about this idea on stream yesterday that I'm now making into this video talking about the schedule, and I did see some people say like maybe the reason why they're going to start giving out a bunch of these free tickets for people for summons is because they are planning on releasing so many banners for like the rest of the year. And I mean, that could potentially be the reason why, right? This is going to be, and they're advertising it, doing all these crazy things because it's the 10th year of the game and they want it to be super special. But they are doing a bunch of really generous things that we haven't seen before. Loads of free tickets, loads of extra stuff for summons. You know, twice a month now on the 15th and the 30th every month. We're going to get more free tickets. Every month that Seriously Serious event gets an extra stage, which gives you tickets for like the current banner. So maybe that is the reason that they're giving out so many of these ways for people to get free summons, because they are now filling the schedule with so many extra banners. Because remember, here it says worldwide celebration campaign at the bottom for past years, and then for September, October for this year, it just says coming soon. And they mentioned the Tanabata moving to September, but the thing is, like, whatever that celebration ends up looking like, it's not going to be called the Tanabata celebration, because the Tanabata is a real festival, like, in Japan, so that's why it happens at that time. If it happens at a later time in the year, then on the JP version, there's no point calling it the Tanabata celebration, because that actual holiday in Japan has already passed months ago. And then obviously on the international version, or global as we always call it, they've never called it that, because the Tanabata celebration isn't a thing that we have outside of Japan. Because that was the thing I said also that I thought was kind of funny. We've always as a community called global, whereas they've always officially referred to it as the international version. So it is kind of funny that this anniversary is called, this like mid-year anniversary is called the global Dokkan campaign, because it just makes it sound like it's a campaign on global. But yeah, that's the thing you got to remember as well. I said it there, is like this is kind of like a half anniversary celebration, which a lot of gacha games do actually do. They have like a half year anniversary in the middle, because it's just I guess like an excuse to have a big campaign where you can have a similar celebration in level and scale to the anniversary. So yeah, that's how I see this year playing out. This is the roadmap that we've got so far. September to October will be the Tanabata, and then, you know, there will be no worldwide celebration, because what essentially would have been the worldwide in terms of the units and the content and everything will be the global Dokkan campaign. And I think this does work better for all players to have these two bigger celebrations have that sort of even gap in the middle, because obviously with the worldwide celebration usually being end of August into September, there's a much longer gap between the anniversary and the worldwide, and then a shorter gap between the worldwide and the next anniversary. So for people who are, if you're in that free to play or low spending bracket where you basically are just saving for those two big celebrations, now you have a much more like even time in between the two. And if you are saving for only summoning on those two big celebrations, that gives you an equal amount of time to stock up a decent amount of stones. And obviously we've seen that those celebrations, those big banners, do have these pity systems in place where you can hopefully end up going into the celebration with enough stones, because of how many those celebrations actually give out, that you then end up at least being able to hit the pity once in the big celebration, even as a free to play. Because if you went into the anniversary this year with what, around maybe just even just under 1,000 stones, the anniversary gave out so many stones you would have been able to hit the pity. And in around 6 months, if you don't summon on anything else, you should be able to build up to around that level. I know some people say that that is like a boring way to play the game, that like, oh, now we're only, you know, with the anniversary campaign, then the global Dokkan campaign, we only get to summon every 6 months. But obviously if you're free to play, that's how you need to maximize value from your stones for these big celebrations. And they seem to be making a big deal out of this like global Dokkan campaign, because they've never referred to the worldwide as like an anniversary level campaign, which is what they've specifically said for this. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Do you think, like I say, this will basically just be what would have been the worldwide is going to be the global Dokkan campaign? Do you think they are going to try and still squeeze the worldwide in there somewhere, and we're just going to have the last half of the year be bombarded with new LRs? How do you think this is going to play out, and what are your thoughts on the new schedule change? Let me know down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.